Hi, I'm Dan Whittaker. Today we're going to take a look at how you can use the floor to get power and consistency in your golf swing. I'm obviously looking at it with the iron, and we're really looking at what sort of levels of consistency you can get. And I get a lot of golfers coming to me who really struggle with a two-way miss. Now, two-way miss is like 1 mile right, followed by 1 mile left, and then struggling. Are you ever going to get one in the middle of the two? Is that just based on the fact that you've been lucky, or have the other two been miles out? So what the first things that everyone wants to look at is it the shape of your golf swing? Well, it's probably not. Your golf swing's not going to change, as in shape from being nice maybe on the inside a little bit to wildly out to in on another one, from one shot to another. So that obviously would be a big thing that would affect the dispersion and the kind of shape of that golf shot. But it's probably not going to be that, because you're going to be very, very close to within like 2-3 degrees each time. What I tend to see with a lot of players is the ones that have that two-way miss is because the club face is changing every time. So once we actually know that, what we want to do is then feed that back in the golf swing from impact, which is when we've got the collision with ball on face, which gives us that two-way miss. What is it that's causing that two-way miss? What we tend to see is I get a lot of players who struggle and they haven't turned their hips properly in the backswing. What this does is on the way down, it leaves them trapped here. So the arms are stuck behind the body, and in essence, to try and hit the ball, the body stops and backs up, and the arms go out. So if the arms don't go out enough, the face is open and to the right. If the arms get out too fast, the club face is closed and goes off to the left, which is why we get those wild misses in two directions. What is a massive cause of this can be linked to what your footwork is doing. So seeing that too many players get on their toes at address, okay, thinking that they really are in a good balanced position here, okay, but what will happen is, a link to know whether that's happening is your calves will be a bit tight at the start, okay, and then from here what you'll do is, to get good balance in the backswing, you'll move forwards and stay on the toes, and those hips won't have turned at all, and you've now really come out of posture. When you make that downswing from there, you've got absolutely zero chance of being able to get back to the ball, and that's because where your weight is moving across your foot. We want to be making sure that that weight goes back and loads into that heel, which will give you that hip turn, so therefore you're going to have that space on the way down. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to hit one, and we're going to try and get the feeling, the weight being on the toes a little bit, and restrictive hip turn. So just a quick bit on the restrictive hip turn is the X factor. That was a thing a few years ago. People said, if I don't get as much hip turn against shoulder turn, meaning simple calculation, I only turn my hips 20 degrees, I turn my shoulders 90 degrees, I get 70 degrees different, that's going to give me more power. Whereas what we're looking at is, that's actually not going to be relevant, because you can't even get the club back on the ball square, you can't get it out the middle, so the consistency factor is really difficult. So this first one here, I'm going to get a little bit more on my toes, okay? I'm going to get the feeling of not turning the hips much and trying to stay towards the front of the feet a little bit. So a little bit on the toes right here, and have a go at making that swing. So that ball's gone a little bit right of target. Let's have a look on the numbers right here, and let's see how that has been affected. So what we can see here is that the club face is 4.8 degrees open to the path, which means the ball is starting to the right and staying right, and the path was only 1 degree into out. That's absolutely nothingness. So that is a very, very neutral path. It's not going to give me much problems at all. So what we're going to do now is I'm going to have a go at another ball, and this time I'm going to really focus on making sure that these hips can rotate and turn back as much as possible. Okay, I'm going to make sure that they're turning back, but obviously they're not going to be swaying or moving in the wrong direction. They're going to be loading properly into that right heel and loading that right glute. So got a better setup position, not feeling that the weight is too much on the toes. Okay, so nice balanced address position right there. Get that feeling of that hip turn. So that was a much kind of more neutral shot. Kind of that my pattern, quite neutral, maybe tight little draw. That's what I tend to see. And it highlights itself back in the numbers here. Only 0.2 into out, but the face angle is really neutral, face to path, very slightly close, giving that draw shape I'm used to seeing. So we can see there that the impact of turning the hips or not turning the hips has a massive effect on what's happening at impact. So what we're going to look at is a couple of little drills that you can have a look at doing at home. So one of the drills to start with is having your toes up inside your shoes. I've had players play tournaments like this and it's absolutely massive, okay? And being able to feel that weight in your shoes is huge. Your footwork and what shoes you're wearing can be massive. So shoes with cleats makes a massive difference to this. Ones with soft spikes aren't as good, okay? Because you can't get the true traction through the floor because your foot's going to be moving about. Okay, so what we're looking at here is I've got the toes up inside that right shoe, and as I make that backswing, I'm getting a feeling of sitting back and I'm really pushing down. You try this at home, lift your toes up and keep them up and try and not turn your hips. You can't, okay, because your hips are going to want to move in the direction of where your weight and mass are going to be moving. If your weight stays on your toes, conversely, I'm tippling over and I'm then fighting that for balance points throughout my swing, which affects so many different facets of the swing. The second drill we're having a look at here is just a real simple one of pulling that right foot back. Okay, and you can do this gradually. Start off with it quite extreme, hitting balls with that right foot back and then making a follow through, then make it a little bit less, back, make a follow through, and then try and get the same feeling of turning again. And so you're always bringing it back to neutral. So there's two really good drills that are going to fix one problem. A lot of it's going to be associated to balance points that affects the hip turn, but ultimately affects the direction of the golf shot, which is the killer for your golf game. So then guys, we obviously in this series, we've been having a look at consistency with the irons and distance with the driver. Look out for some more of these videos coming your way.